Acting as if on the job. I think about my acting friends who had jobs in retail during their early years of training and starting out in theater. One of them was a greeter at Bloomingdale's who had to stake out high-traffic parts of the store and steer shoppers to the various departments. Even if she had a long night in rehearsal or just wasn't in the mood, if she was going to keep her day job, she had to be absolutely convincing that she was delighted to be there and in service to the people coming through the door. If that's not acting as if, I don't know what is. Acting as if got her ready to shine every time. She imagined the shoppers as if they were classmates of hers from college at a reunion on one day, as if they were her favorite group of cousins another day, as if she was a part owner of the store the next day. Whatever as if helped her tap an outgoing generosity and keep her mind engaged and playful so she could perform at a higher level. I'm not suggesting you have to be someone else to act as if. Sure, there have always been a few great method actors who behaved as if they were actually the character off stage or between takes. I love the story about the filming of the epic thriller Marathon Man, when the great method actor Dustin Hoffman found himself exhausted after staying up a number of nights in a row just as the character in the script does. His counterpart in the film, Sir Laurence Olivier, was considered the greatest living actor in the world at that time, and he did not go to those extremes. One day, legend has it, Olivier turned to Hoffman, who was nodding off on the set, and said, "Why don't you just try acting, my boy?" I like to think that Olivier wasn't putting him down. Rather, he was trying to relieve Dustin's stress by showing him another perspective, another way of being. The power of imagination. I started this chapter talking about imagination. Learning to act as if is not about visualizing idle fantasies about wealth and power. Acting as if is about using the brain's amazing powers of imagination to learn, change, and experience new things. The majority of mental health professionals and neuroscientists say this is healthy because you're refocusing the brain on productive prosocial and contributory behaviors. It can also be transformational. There's a bookshelf of research on the effectiveness of imagination and cognition to improve one's athletic performance, overall health and well-being, and even aging. Research on visualization shows that imagining the execution of a task successfully contributes to more positive outcomes. Brain scans support this by showing that visualization triggers a shift from the left to the right brain hemisphere. This transfer from the left, logical, hemisphere to the right, creative imagination, hemisphere enhances visual imagery and actually creates new neural patterns in the brain. When an athlete visualizes success, their body really is experiencing success, observes Dr. Bernie Siegel, the author of Love, Medicine, and Miracles and retired professor of surgery at Yale Medical School. When you imagine something, your body really feels like it's happening. Acting as if is just that, strategic imagination aiming you in the right direction for successful personal and business performance. How we can use acting as if. Acting as if is also a strategy for dealing with anxiety and worry. It helps us stay balanced and organizes our energy. It's one of the ways you'll reduce stage fright, which can occur anytime you're in the spotlight, be it when you are leading a meeting, giving a speech, being interviewed, or even docking a boat. I have a decent-sized boat, and even though I'm a United States Coast Guard licensed captain, it can be pretty tricky to dock a boat when weather conditions aren't favorable, so I visualize the entire process before I start. This works like a charm. I imagine that I'm going to dock the boat in this slip as if I've done it 10,000 times. Most good old salty captains with whom I've talked about this tell me they do the same thing, even though they, in fact, really have already docked the boat 10,000 times. By acting as if you begin to shift your consciousness from self-defeating ways of thinking into new conscious directions. It may seem simple in its approach, but the power of positive visualization lets your brain rehearse what lies ahead so that when your big performance arrives, it will seem as if you have already done that speech thousands of times before. This is what rehearsal is for. The acting as if technique is one to keep handy for emergencies as well. It can be surprisingly helpful in difficult but ultimately manageable times when you may not be at your best, coping with a personal issue or even just dealing with a lingering cold. But using an as if approach will work when you know the show must go on. You know how body language affects how others see you, but it may also change how you see yourself. Harvard University social psychologist Amy Cuddy has done extensive research on how power posing, standing in a posture of confidence even when you don't feel confident, can raise testosterone levels while reducing cortisol levels in your brain. In fact, Cuddy's research paper, Power Posing, Brief Nonverbal Displays Affect Neuroendocrine Levels and Risk Tolerance, published in 2010 by the Association for Psychological Science, showed that various power poses increased testosterone levels by 20% and decreased cortisol levels by 25%. That's a pretty dramatic representation of the power of acting as if. In fact, Cuddy's motto is, "Fake it until you make it," which you now see actually has biological implications. Of course, the best part is that you can do it authentically. As with any sustained commitment to learning new ideas, the more you invest in acting as if and the other performance techniques, the more these ways of being will translate to gains in your public interactions. The mind, once stretched by a new idea, Ralph Waldo Emerson once observed, never returns to its original dimensions. The act as if technique gives you the opportunity to become the thing you're imagining yourself to be. You act as if you're in charge. You act as if you are calm. You act as if you look forward to speaking to large groups. And slowly, those things become more and more true. And your performances become more and more natural. Your imagination is a powerful asset. If it can make you think small, it can also ensure you think big. If it can make you feel small, it can ensure that you feel big. Eventually, acting as if becomes acting as is.